Welcome to the lab. As y'all know, another episode. I'm excited about this one. Hey. We have a very special guest in the studio today, and I feel like this is going to be a really unique experience that y'all haven't gotten before. As you know, we talk about business, creativity, and many more. We could get into like string theory if you want, but we get down here, and today I feel like I dressed up for this. I did a little research, but you know, I always let the guests introduce themselves because I want people to get the experience of what it's like to talk about their brand and their story. But I have Growing Up Spanglish here. And I am seriously, I'm trying to contain myself. But yeah, put the camera on them. Let them introduce themselves. Man. Oh, man. I put them on the spot when they got here, so go ahead.
Thank you for having us. This is a weird experience because I'm not used to being on this side ever.
Yeah, no, same.
I really don't think, I think I've only ever done one podcast ever.
Where you're the guest?
Where I was the guest. Yeah. So my name is Roxy, but I think that I kind of want to start going by Rosering.
Oh,
these days,
let's go. You gonna give them it all?
I think right now we'll stick with Roxy. I'm the host and one of the producers of the Growing Up Spanglish podcast. Born and raised in Miami by way of La Isla del Encanto.
Hey.
Been doing creative shit for a very long time. I think upwards of 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Dabbling in radio and events and parties and just anything really to build community.
That's awesome.
Look, Roxy kind of stole the show with her intro. My name is Kovi. For everyone who's out there, I am the second producer on Growing Up Spanglish. I help Roxy with all things Growing Up Spanglish as a whole. But outside of this, I am also a photographer, a artist manager. I am currently dabbling in directing, so I'm working on short films and things in that nature. And I've been a creative for maybe like 10. This year actually makes 10 years that I picked up my camera. So like I picked up my camera 10 years ago. 2014. Wow, that sounds crazy to say. And in my spare time outside of this, because that's the other thing, I am a senior design program manager. So I pretty much help a certain business with creative marketing and helping their teams kind of stay on right timelines and whatnot. So very process driven and process oriented as well.
I love it.
A little boring shit.
No, it's good. It's not boring at all, man. You got to speak your truth in your story. Yeah. Yo, buckle up.
Oh, here we go.
Because we finna get into this combo.
Let's do it.
But I love the fact that you both come from like different like experiences, different perspective. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being in front of the camera today. I kind of threw you under the bus, as they say. I think it was like the expectation was like we were gonna meet up and kind of have a meeting, and this is my meeting
form
style.
of meeting.
I fuck with it. Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? It's like when like rappers is trying to get signed at the label. And they're like, yo, can you rap right now, son?
And then they jump on the table. And then
I don't like that. I don't like that shit. Don't be jumping on no table. Just spit the verse, bro, and get it out the way. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, man, the table is bowing for a reason, right? We get down. Yeah. But I feel like, man, we could go so many ways. But I always love to start with this question. And I've learned to kind of preface it and like just set you up because at first it was very jarring when I asked people this. So just the context in what I'm asking you is open. Like you can't do a follow-up to the question.
Okay.
Whatever comes to mind, I want you to share.
Cool.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let the air breathe. What do you want?
Ooh.
That's loaded.
Wow. You want to go first, or you thinking on it?
No, I could go.
All right, bet.
What do I want? In the long term, I want to make an impact and an imprint. And so everything that I do tends to revolve around community, but most specifically for people to feel seen and heard. And so I have gifts that the Lord has blessed me with, one of them being that I can speak and I'm confident enough to do so. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of people don't have that.
She sends me a mini podcast every day, bro. Like every day, like voice notes. Like every day, we get like a like we're in a group chat, and it's like 15-minute voice notes, and it's like a mini podcast of her breaking down some shit. But it's always good. It's always good. She's natural at it. Go for it.
Hold on, freeze. I ain't gonna judge you. Put the camera on me right now. Like, this is wild. This is wild.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Wait. Slow. Stop.
Oh man.
Stop. She sends voice notes.
Yeah.
You're the voice note person?
We are the voice note.
You both send voice notes?
Totally.
Yes.
How am I getting along with voice notes?
We like them. They work.
Okay.
Yes.
Y'all gonna fit to tell me what the benefit is of sending a voice note versus calling me and telling me the same thing? But I get it.
We're all working.
You're working.
It's 3 people in the chat. We're all collectively working.
Okay, so you're like sneaking under the table and like, yo.
Thankfully, we work remotely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
All right.
But yeah, that's what I want. I want to make an impact and really help people feel heard and seen, and really, because we're all just trying to figure out why the fuck we're on this rock, and so whatever I can do to make that happen.
Bless your soul. Because it is not an easy experience to do what you're thinking of doing right now. I could just think of a million stories of where I've tried to help someone and it's just it doesn't go that way. So it doesn't go at least with what I envision. But we'll go down the road and find out if you got any of those stories too. Let me give you the opportunity, Kovi.
Oh man, I'm grateful you went first.
Yeah, you had a chance now.
No, transparently, I think it's just for me, it's helping people's vision come to life. I've always been a person who's behind the scene. Funny enough, one of my friends, like Chris, like she's with us in the group chat, right? And she always says like, you don't care about being cool. Like what your thing is like you want to do good work every time you want to go home afterwards, right? And like for me, that just says I'm about the business. I want to see your vision come to reality. I want to make sure things happen. I've never pursued being the front runner, right? Because it's not that important to me. I think like the people behind the scenes are just as equally important, if not in some cases more important sometimes, right? Decision makers happen to end up being behind the scenes. So for me, it's really just helping people get their vision out. I'm of service to the people. And long term for me, it's about making all the things I want to create come to fruition. I'm a person with like a million ideas. My mind is always running. I don't sleep really well, right? Because like I'm one of the people who like lays down at night and I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do oh yeah, I could do this too. Oh, there's also this thing over here. And I start connecting all the dots on how these things can end up building an ecosystem, right? So the reality for me is I'm not gonna stop until the larger vision that I have for the things I want to create actually happen. Like taking something like, for example, like a t-shirt and actually taking that from my mind, designing it, then it ending up in the hands of people, that's fulfilling to me.
Nice.
Right? I'll tell you about like a previous job when we get like later into this.
Yeah.
It was one of the most exciting things for me, and it's gonna sound boring to people, but I love the feeling of knowing, oh, in a week and a half, we took something that was empty and brought it to life and really made it something that customers could walk into in real time and like really shop there and be there, and like seeing that happen was more rewarding than anything else because it's it happening in real time and in fruition, coming true. So
that's
that's probably where I'm at with things right now.
So you like to shine the spotlight but stand outside it.
Yeah, totally. The spotlight, like this is weird for me because even on our podcast, like you never see video of me. I
have to be like, that voice you hear.
I love. You should have like a producer cam. I'm excited that you're now. You've popped your cherry here on the lab. I love it. For lack of better words. Yeah. But we know standing behind the camera how hard it can be, and I love that you play that role and you're okay with playing that role. You've embodied it, and you're like, this is my life's purpose. Like you're in the purpose of like serving others, right? You're the router. Right, you like to build those connections and bring people together, And I feel like I see why you've been so successful. Like you have an operator and you know what you're doing. You both know your roles,
Right.
and you're kind of trying to build something, kind of bring it to life.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Roxy, like, I'm thankful for her. I'm gonna tell you this in front of the cameras
Yes.
so everybody knows. I'm super grateful for her because quite often you'll reach out to somebody and they go, "Where's your proof of concept?" Right? Show me that you can do it.
Case study.
Yeah,
or
where's your
whatever.
case study? Like, where's your da da da? And Roxy's like, if you're really interested, show up. Right? We'll take a shot on you. Like,
Pull
we'll take a
up.
risk. Yeah, like pull up. Let's
Yeah.
let's do it. And she always gave me that opportunity of just like, yo, I think I could do this. All right, let's do it. And it's never been nah, I don't think you're it for it. She's like, I'm gonna give you the shot.
We should preface that we're both fire signs,
Yes.
and that's why we get along so
We're
well.
gonna get into this. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, we like to burn shit down.
So
we
wait.
work very well together. I'm an Aries.
Yeah.
I'm a Sag.
Stay away
It's
from you.
spicy.
Got it.
I'm a Sag.
Sag and an Aries.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a Cancer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My wife's a Cancer.
So I understood
Oh, you're kinda getting it now.
I absolutely get it. Say
Okay.
less.
Say less, my friend.
My wife's a Cancer. I actually have. I got a couple good friends that are Cancers too.
Yeah. My wife's an Aries, and she's Puerto Rican.
You see?
My sister-in-law is an
Stop.
Aries. Both my brothers are Aries too, which is why this all like it all works.
Yeah.
I'm a masochist. I just like to get beat at.
I'm dead.
Like a little pain.
Wifey, I'm sorry. But
A little tear went to the blue wound. Just let it out.
But it's all right. It's made me tougher. I feel like she's given me the strength that I need to endure all these like very long nights in building this and going through all the failure and all the different businesses. If you know anything about me, I don't know if I've actually formally said it here. If y'all go to Famous Angel, the IG account, you'll see my about like little bio video. But the idea is that I'm a Renaissance man. I was the kid growing up that was like looking under the car, like how they're doing the oil change, so I could figure that out. Like before I even turned 8, I had already ripped the door off out of my dad's car. Why? Because I grew up in DR. I was born in DR. I didn't grow up in DR. I'm a gringo Dominican.
Okay.
So you hear my perfect English right now.
Yeah.
But because I have my Dominican friend in the room, I can say, "Que lo que, dame luz, que la vaina." You know, I can bust it out like this, y'all. You don't even know.
We like it. We like it.
But the idea is that I was just that person that always wanted to dabble in everything, right? They always say, like, if you're not a master of one or
You're a master of none.
none or
Whatever.
whatever
I don't
that
believe that
thing
shit
is.
either.
Like, yo, because I dabbled in so many things, I became really good at problem solving.
Right.
And I feel like that's really, if you boil it down to what I do, I solve problems for different types of people. Either, someone starting out or someone's already established. Whatever it is, because I figure it out. Dominican mentality is that. We just figure it out.
I think that's Caribbean though.
Caribbean too? Tell me about it.
When
'cause
I look
wanna
at
hear
it from the standpoint, whether it's we're both just figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
She's Puerto Rican, I'm Haitian, and there's no avoiding the work ethic. Like we also understand, like you have to work. Like you have no choice but to put it in
Right.
work. Like it's unavoidable. And I think that's part of figuring it out. Is okay. I'm beyond the technical. I understand the technical pieces of it. And I can't let it hinder me anymore.
Right.
So I just got to do it and learn it on the fly and use that experience to get better in real time. And that's the
Or
figuring
being
it out.
smart enough to understand that what you lack is someone else's strength.
100%.
And being able to work well with others and having no ego.
I hear it and I'm just like, dang.
We collaborating.
Yeah, we collab.
We are, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I don't know if you all know where you stepped into. Like, I think you're realizing the more we talk. So that whole mentality of pull up, I've given a lot of people that opportunity.
Right.
When anyone comes into this room, into this like sanctuary that I've created, some people say it's like church, but I really just keep an open mind. Doesn't matter who comes in through the door, whatever your beliefs are, like check them at the door. We're here to kind of collaborate and create and be vulnerable together. Very few people have taken the torch once obstacles are removed in front of them. So if you imagine someone saying, I know what I want. And if right now, tomorrow, somebody called you and said, hey, all those obstacles that you think you have in front of you to get to what you want, they're gone. Now what? What you gonna do?
Some people
Some
shy away
people
from
like the struggle.
you know what? You're right, though.
Yeah, some people are addicted to the struggle. they're so accustomed to struggling and surviving that when it's out of the way, like you're saying, a clear path, they don't know what to do because they've been in the struggle for so long. Kind of like people who like drama and chaos. When it's removed, they don't thrive in that loving, healthy relationship because they're just so accustomed to chaos.
But I also think that says a lot about like trauma, right? And in the perspective of like, if you don't heal your trauma, you'll never be able to move forward. Mm-hmm. So like for the person who has the struggles removed, and I'm telling you as like, let me step back. Yeah. The first time I made a certain amount of money, I still worried about going broke, right? And it's because I lived in a standard that, or like a place that wasn't from wealth for so long.
Like a scarce mentality.
A scarce mentality that I wasn't able to get to and understand that may not happen again. You should enjoy this moment. You should thrive in this moment. You should push forward for this moment. So when you take away those obstacles for some people go, oh, you're going to rip the rug from under me. And that's even scarier than I worked for it. You can't take it away. You know what I mean? Yeah. At least from my perspective.
No, I hear you, man. There's so much in what you just said that I'm trying to see, like, I'm good at building the bridges in the conversation. I'm just trying to see where I could go to push, because you said a key word there. I'm starting to feel like everyone at this table has a trauma card.
Totally.
Like we're members of the trauma club.
like everyone has traumas.
Yeah, right.
Can
like,
they identify them is a different thing.
That's the key right there. Like, have you connected the dots looking backwards to say, hey, this is something that triggered me or made me who I am. What can I do now to either change it or to use it in a way where I can inspire other people?
Right.
Right. So first immigrant kid coming from DR, usual track, go to New York, go through Queens, go through Bronx, right? And not only did we uproot from Dominican Republic, but we go to a country that my parents don't know the language, even though New York, you could kind of get by not knowing English.
Yeah.
Like you have your own little boroughs or whatever. Yeah. We establish a presence. My brother's born in Harlem. My brother's whiter than me.
Wow.
Right, in Harlem Hospital, right? We experience all of that, and then all of a sudden, we get uprooted again, and we come down to Davie, Florida.
Yeah.
I think about that, like, as my mom did that, as my dad did that, like, the courage they had to do it. But I also think about it now more than ever because I have two girls, 11 and 13. And I'm like, what do I choose? Do I choose the experience of what the trauma that built me and kind of like give them this versatile, let's go look at other cultures, let me move to a country that I don't know the language, just to give you that experience? Or do I try to give them the better experience that maybe I didn't have growing up, like the sense of family, the sense of being rooted, the sense of like having familiar things that you can always go back to? And I struggle with that, like as a father, like I honestly struggle with being able to create those environments for them. And what do? Lately, they've now been enrolled in homeschool because I just felt like I have an opportunity to do it better. Let me try. Yeah. But can you imagine the conversation I had with my mom?
Oh man.
Like, hey mom, I want to try this, right? Out of both my mom and my dad, the one that gave me the most pushback was my dad.
Really?
Yeah. It was really weird.
Elaborate on that. Like, what was... I can understand his reservations, right? Especially because they're from a different time. Like, I'll tell you this, like, my mom pushed all of us to go to school, right? Because school was what she knew. Yeah. And she said when she got... I'll never forget it. It was her 40th birthday or 45th birthday, one of the two, was coming up. And she was like, I'm sorry. Oh. Right? And when she said, I'm sorry, like, you kind of taken back. You're like, did I do something wrong? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what, is this a trick? You know? But she's saying, I'm sorry, because for a long time, she didn't understand that there's so much other routes to success, that she only pushed one avenue on us. Yeah. And in the midst of it, she's finding herself at a crossroad in her career. And she's looking at it from the stage of, do I start over here? How much time did I invest? Am I okay to do that? Should I encourage my kids to go do it now? So I'm like very curious of, was your father's sentiments along that line of just like, no, that's what we know. That's the system that's in place. Follow the system rather than go break it and try to learn in real time.
Well, you would think that because of the background, so Dominican family, Haitian family, like Caribbean family, we think of the structure. We think of, hey, this is the right route to go because your cousin is an engineer and right? Like these, you're relating all of a sudden, right? The comparisons to the other family members and stuff. Let me tell y'all straight up, my dad never went to school after like whatever high school is considered to be, or even before that. I don't think he even got to high school.
Wow.
The reason is because he was forced to work while his brother, who got the engineering degree, was being paid. Like the college was being paid for him. The school was being paid for him. Yeah. And it came out of my father's hard work. Yeah. My father and my great grandfather's hard work. Like they both established that in the family. My dad has been an entrepreneur since day one. Yeah. And that's all I ever saw him do. Like I saw him be a taxi driver. I saw him get recruited by the Secret Service to do undercover informant work. I saw him become a private investigator. I saw him reinvent himself every single time and time again. And that's what he showed. He showed me how to survive. So for him to give me the pushback, I'm like, are you crazy right now? Like you showed me every single way I could make money without going to school. Yeah. Right? But what really triggered it for me was just the trauma experience that I had going through school. It was like the bullying and all that stuff. Everything that we experienced while we were growing up is only times 10 now. Yeah. Yeah. Right? And I'm not trying to knock anyone that's sending their kids to school because like more power to you. If your kids are strong enough to withstand all that bullying and all the stuff that's happening there, they're going to be strong at the end of it. And hopefully you as a parent are going to guide them in the right direction. But if I had the opportunity, because I'm an entrepreneur and I've been able to set up this business that's succeeding right now, why not take the opportunity to give them something different? Give them a different way of thinking early on, which I wish I would have had an opportunity to do earlier, you know, in my life.
I just finished reading this book called Think Again from Adam Grant. And Adam Grant, in the book, the whole concept of the book is learning to rethink, right? Challenging yourself to break what you've considered. So he's saying like you should become a scientist with life. So ask yourself, well, okay, cool, yeah, that's the way it might have been done. But could it be done another way? Hey, could we, you know, is there another perspective I'm not thinking about? Even when you're having hard conversations, trying to get that person to fit within your shoes. So he brings up the example of like, for that example, he brings up like the guy who he turns KKK guys from leaving, like he gets them to leave the KKK. A black man does that. And he uses him as an example in the book. But all in all, he said one thing that stuck out to me was, our lives are open systems. Essentially saying that if we look at rethinking in the capacity of our lives, it's you're able to change whatever you want, whenever you want. And you shouldn't tie or get so deep in a tunnel vision or this vision of what you've had or what you think you want without saying, maybe I should pivot here. Yeah. Or maybe I should look at it this way. So I think it's dope. I think it's admirable that you're saying, you know what? Yeah, I know that's the system I came from. I know that my parents did X, Y, and Z to get here. But this is the foundation you set for me. I'm just building on that foundation a different route or a different way.
You know what my mom said?
What?
She's like, you're smart. You can do it.
Are you doing the homeschooling?
Yeah.
Or is there, okay.
Well, both, me and my wife.
Okay.
But you're a creative, so like, good teacher. Good teacher.
Yeah, the teaching, the education. I wholeheartedly, in my heart, I believe that anyone can learn anything. I taught my dad how to do lives. Like I taught him how to run OBS. I taught him how to prep his graphics and all that stuff. He doesn't know what that is. Never went to fucking. He doesn't know any of that.
He figured it out,
but he learned it. And I mean, it's a constant battle because I have a relationship with my dad where, let's just say, Dominican dad, there's things that people don't know that I got a chance to see. My brother didn't get a chance to experience this. He was like almost the same dynamic. Now that I'm talking it out loud with you guys, I'm starting to realize that literally the same dynamic my dad went through, I went through.
With you and your brother.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa. It just hit me, guys. It just hit me right now. I swear to God. It's real. But I tell you that story because I just feel like we all, like you mentioned, we all live in these bubbles. We all live in these comfort zones. And it's like, what am I going to do to push myself past that comfort zone to go into the unknown? Because something good may come out of it. But there's so much judgment when you're trying to do something different, not only from your family, like everyone looking from the outside is like, what are you doing?
Right.
When
you don't have that encouragement too. Because not just the judgment, but when you don't have people saying like, hey, I think that's a great idea, I think you should go. Or like even just pointing you in the right direction, like, hey, I did this too. So that kind of makes you feel a type of way because you're just kind of like, we talk about this all the time. Like sometimes it's nice to just hear someone being like, I see what you've been doing and I'm really proud of you. And like we talk about this often because the other person in our group chat where the voice notes get sent, she is, she's also a fire sign, but we're very like hyper independent women. So we can do everything on our own, but we have been doing everything on our own for so long that every once in a while, it's just nice for someone to say, I see you and you got this. So that encouragement is also really needed. So it's not just the judgment that hinders you, but the lack of encouragement kind of makes you feel like, I'm gonna just stop. I don't know. Nobody cares. Yeah. It's tough. Yeah.
Do you read cards or anything? Like
I don't.
You literally just touched on the biggest trauma in my life. Right? Look, I'm 41. I asked them off camera like how old I was, and y'all said like 30 something, which is cool. Like I have, but they know when I do that, they get bugged. Like, what the fuck happened? He just aged 20 years. Yeah. But I went 41 years. With my dad only giving me one positive affirmation.
What was it?
After establishing this studio for the first year, and I had gone through all the pains and then made some profit and all that good stuff. Fernando was in the room. He's the producer cam. We got to have a producer cam, by the way. He saw that we sold a bunch of affiliate sales, solar roofs on the show because we learned about affiliate marketing, and we're like, all right, well, let's plug it on the show that we developed to create the studio. Yeah. 4 months into opening the studio, we get a bag and we recuperate all the investment and we're in the green. Like, so beautiful time, right? Yeah. My dad pulls me aside. He looks around the studio. He's like, this studio, it's a good thing.
Wow.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And that's it.
It's the only time he's ever acknowledged.
How did that make you feel, though?
Bro.
Now I need you
what the fuck? Are you kidding? Did I mess up the audio? No, I was like, what the hell, man? I was like, I'm thinking about it now. I'm just like, all the things that you don't understand. Yeah. Without my involvement, the milestones that he has in his life that he would say, hey, I did this, would not have existed. Like, as a private investigator, he went almost 25 years without understanding how to build his own agency. I was coming out of college, dropping out of college because I said college is bullshit. So I went and I researched the legislature. I researched how to build an agency, and I did it against all of his friends saying, you can't do that. You're just 18. You can't. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you. And I established the agency. We built a private investigative agency that ran for over 5 to 6 years. Wow. Right? Yeah. And then he pivoted to YouTube, and I helped produce that shit and make the monetization happen and do all that. So it's like, you would think that during any of those moments, he would say, yo, you're doing dope. Nah.
Yeah.
It's funny because to some degree, I think they say it in other ways. Like you
because I'm with you.
Don't get me wrong. I totally still think it should be said. Yeah. I'm not negating the fact that it should be said. It should still be like, you have to tell people you appreciate it. As a matter of fact, one of them is, do you know Sierra Henry?
Yes.
Sierra Henry and I are working on something. She reached out to me about something and she gave me a task and she said, I want you to write a letter to one person you're grateful for and read it to them. and record yourself reading it to them. And I got to do it this week. I still have to do it.
Shaking to hear you say that shit.
But the reason she was like, you never understand how it truly feels for you to say it to that person and for them to hear it from you, right? I think our parents, you tell me I don't believe in you, I let you do this with me. That's more belief than you can even imagine. My friends were telling me you couldn't do it, and when you did it, I trusted you and jumped out the window still.
That's true.
Right? So like, and maybe this is me. They'll tell you I'm the optimist of the group.
We're like, burn this shit down. He's like, wait, maybe.
But maybe, you know, I like look. I'm always looking at the brighter side of things, and to my, don't get me wrong, it's caused me pain to do so, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
But I think from the standpoint of just like trying to put myself in that person's shoes, it's also saved me some pain or internalizing some pain.
Yeah.
So like, if he hasn't told you, fuck that, we'll tell you, hey, we're proud of you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
You know, there's something about that. I was actually looking at a reel the other day, and there's this technique. I think it's called Okono. I'm probably butchering the crap out of this. But this guy took the files of all these inmates that had committed all these different crimes and all this kind of stuff. Never met any of them. And he just looked through every file, read it, and said, I forgive you. Flipped it. I'm sorry. I accept. Like just doing that. And all of a sudden, like they tracked it. The behavior in the jail changed.
Wow.
Like everybody started like shifting instead of being so angry to being more positive. The guy never met anybody. So like, I'm going to ask a question, but this may take us into like the string theory stage. But I feel like we all operate off of energy. And there's been so many moments where I've struggled through something, and the more negative things that I put in my mind or that I'm reflecting on, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it, or I need another client, or I got to pay the rent, like all that kind of stuff. The harder it becomes. But the more unwavering faith that I have that it's going to work out. I don't know how, but it's going to work out. And then all of a sudden, the answer comes. It's crazy. Like, I can't explain it to you.
I can explain both ways. So, spiritually, right, if we say we're manifesting, like, positive things and the good things coming, that's one way of believing it and accepting it. The other is kind of going back to what you were saying, which is training our minds. So, I started doing a practice where the first thing I say to myself, like the minute I wake up, is like something very positive. Like, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm gonna have the best day ever. Like I say, like I have to be the first thing. Before I say, I'm too tired, I can't get up. Like those are automatically your training your brain for the rest of the day to struggle. Because the first things that you programmed it was negativity and I can't, I don't want to. So you have to like force yourself. So once you force yourself and train your brain to think positively, it's almost like your brain just starts to look at all of the things it can do. It's like you want to buy a red car, so now you start seeing red cars. The red cars didn't just all of a sudden start popping up. Your brain has now been programmed to look for red cars because that's what you want. So the same thing with positivity. I'm training my brain to think positively, to find that solution, to overcome those obstacles, to make shit happen. So we could look at it from both perspectives of spirituality or science, but the power is within us to make the things happen.
I like it. I'm gonna 100% agree, right? Like, but I think you're tugging on another line too, with like faith, right? And just ultimately, the thing you can't change, like you're gonna spend all this time stressing about it, and all you're gonna do is bring more things that you can't change to stress about. Right? So I'll tell you a story. When I closed on my house, I closed on my home in February of 2022. Right? This is the second property I ever owned, X, Y, and Z. I'm excited. Cool. A month later, I was getting laid off.
Shit.
Right? And I'm sitting here like, in my head, I'm just like, yo, oh, shoot. Wait, what?
Like
this is
shitting
crazy.
bricks.
Oh, my God. At the time, I called my then, like, fiance, and it's like, yo, they just told us that we got like 3 months to find a new role within the company, or else, like, I'm laid off. Like, essentially, like, I have nothing else to do. And I believe the things you say, the things you speak, the things you wear, the things you see all contribute to who you are and affect the energy in your area. At the time, Wale is one of my favorite artists. Wale has this hat that I bought from when I saw him on tour, and it says, "Everything is fine." That was the name of the tour, right? And I'm wearing this hat the entire time I'm going through this process. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. And I had a leader at the time. She's like, yo, look, I know what you want. I know where you want to go. I know what you want to do. And I'm going to help you get there. I said, okay, cool. I'm excited. X, Y, and Z. Like, fine. I'm interviewing with people. Some people, yeah, I love you, but I don't have a role for you yet. Give me like 2 months, maybe I might have something for you. Oh, I love you. She finally connects me with this woman, and I'm interviewing with her. And she's like, I think you're great. Let me set you up with more interviews with other folk. We go out for your birthday. I'm coming back that night. And I don't think I've ever told you this story. I'm coming back that night, and a woman stops me for $37. Like, I'm driving back by North Perry Airport, going to my house, and this woman's car is broken down on the side of the road, and she stops me, and she's like flagging me down. And she's like, and I'm nervous because I'm like, yo, it's 2 a.m. Who knows if she's setting me up? Like, yeah. I'm thinking of all of the things that could go wrong here. Mm-hmm. And I just partially lower the window. And as she talks, I lower the window more. She's like, look, my car is broken down. I got a tow truck on the way. I just need $37. And I'm in my head, scarcity, right? I'm like, bro, I just lost my job. I just put this large amount of money down on a down payment. I just closed last month. So, I'm thinking about like my bank account and all the things in between. And someone just goes, just give it to her, bro. Like, don't even think about it. She's like, yo, if you could Cash App it to me right now, I'll Cash App you back on Friday. And I said, don't Cash App me back. Everything's going to be cool. I Cash Apped her the $37. I'm interviewing with the team for this job. I get the job, but the time that they're battling for the offers, the final offer that I got ended up being like $36.5 more than my previous role. Like, I ended up getting the money that I made back 1,000-fold. The money that I gave her 1,000-fold.
Right.
That's me stressing. Like, I could have stressed it out. Things could have fell apart. I could have been like, I'm never gonna get a thing. I could have played myself.
Stuck on North Perry this whole time.
She could have been there on North Perry. You know what I mean? Stuck. But I say that to say, like, the faith of, this is gonna work out. Not knowing what could happen, couldn't happen. Right. I just trusted, and it ended up doing whatever it was supposed to do. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of just like, your faith is that other tool that you can't explain, you can't rationalize. You just have to give your gut, that intuition. Your soul kind of speaks to its intuition. Men have intuition as well. Yeah. You got to trust that sometimes and jump out the window with it.
I think as I've gotten older, I've leaned more into that, just because you do get to the point where it's like, let's just say you get laid off and you're like, how am I going to figure this out? You start stressing out, OD, anxiety, everything, all this stuff. But there's a point where you have to stop and be like, I've been here before, and he ain't let me down. So he's not going to let me down this time either.
That's a fact.
So when you get those stressors, because it happens, and I'm also speaking from a perspective where I am single and childless, so I don't have the concerns that you have. I don't have the concerns. Just me and my dog.
I remember those days.
Those days, right? So I probably have a little bit more peace of mind with that, right? Because I don't have like a whole family depending on me. But we don't have enough faith. We don't give the Lord, in my case, whatever it is, your higher power, but we don't give it enough credit. I remember one time I was in a similar situation, and I was in my car and I was stressing. I was OD stressing. And I don't know if it was a song. I don't know what came over me, but it was at a red light and I'm in the car and I was just like, oh, and then I was like, you know what? I've been here before. And I didn't know how I was going to eat or pay my rent or whatever. And somehow God came through. He really, girl, and I literally started laughing in the car and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, you've actually been taken out of the darkness before. You're going to be all right. You're going to figure it out. He always comes through. And you have to remind yourself of those. Because life is a circle.
It's a circle.
We're going to be up, but we have to come down. It's balance. We can't always be up. We got to keep spinning. So sometimes things are going to be going great, but then that one random thing comes that you didn't expect, getting laid off, the car breaks down, you don't have the funds, someone gets sick, things happen, but you'll get right back. It's
life
just like
is going life.
the circle of life. Yeah.
It's life cyclical, like the whole yin and yang. I recently, like I said, a year and a half ago, I found out that it's actually two fish eating each other.
Wow.
So it's like the dark fish and then there's a light fish.
Yeah.
So obviously white is for good and the dark is for bad. But if you realize one can't overcome the other, you need both.
Right.
So you need adversity, you need struggle
Yes.
to appreciate when you have the good times.
1,000%.
So it's like when you have those bad times, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even though in the moment, I'm going to tell you straight
Right.
up, I'm like, why right now, right?
Yeah.
But you just got to push through. Like, I feel like that's the moment that people need to be more aware of the present. Because a lot of times we're looking towards the future, oh, I can't pay the rent. Or looking towards the past and saying, oh, I've been here before. But if you just find a way to just stay in that moment, that's where you find the most peace.
Your tomorrow isn't written yet.
You have to have a little bit of a carefree, almost kind of let it go in the wind. Like, it's gonna, I was just in LA and I was laughing when I was telling my friend Chrissy, who I originally visited when I first went to LA. I was like, do you remember the first time I came to see you? And we started reminiscing. And I started thinking that my happy ass, definitely in my early 20s, went to LA and I was unemployed. I had no money.
Oh my God.
There was a festival going on and my friends and I all decided we're gonna go. Everyone somehow made it to LA.
Yeah.
We all stayed in like a motel room, like all sharing a bed. I can't even remember. We did not pay for this festival. We just got into the festival. That's what needs to be known.
We got in.
We got in because it was like actually it was the first and only time. It was a great festival. Anyways, we get in. I cannot remember how I ate. I cannot remember how I got around. I remember that when I was supposed to leave, I missed my flight and I didn't have money to get a new flight, so I had to finesse some shit.
Yeah.
I remember that my phone turned off because I didn't pay it while I was in LA, and I could only communicate to people when I was in Wi-Fi.
Oh
Nice.
my God.
And I'm just thinking about all of this as I'm telling her, as I'm like now on like my 6th trip to LA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, and she's laughing. We're just like laughing about like, and somehow I had the best time ever on that trip. Yeah. I wasn't worried about all the things. I'm thinking now, I think I was more worried now when I was reminiscing, like, what a crazy young lady. Why would I do that?
Why would I do that?
But in that time, like, I was having a good time. Like, I really was just winging it and figuring it out. And I did. And I'm here and I survived, right? So sometimes we don't think about, like, we do have a scarce mentality, or we get really scared, or we freeze up instead of being in the moment. And it's like, listen, I ain't got the job, I ain't got the money, but, oh, you invited me to this thing? Fuck it. Like, why not? Why not go?
Let's see what happens.
We'll figure it out along the way.
I feel like, man, this generation, I feel bad for my kids because they don't get the chance to experience near-death experiences and still come out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you grew up, but
We laughed at them
there
afterwards.
was a lot of I have no idea how I'm in front of you guys right now. I really don't. There is so many moments where I'm just like, look, what the hell just happened? How did I survive that? Oh, well, let's keep going. Right? Let's keep figuring this game out. Right? But yeah, man, I really love this conversation. We definitely went down the rabbit hole. Thank you so much for following me down that rabbit hole. But I want you to tell the people. I'm going to ask one question, and then I'm going to let you transition into telling the people more about Growing Up Spanglish. Now that we've got a chance to talk about all this stuff, and we dove down some trauma, and we've come out the other end, if you could go into a time machine and go back in time, I normally say 2 years, but let's say 10 years. Okay, you go back in time 10 years and tell yourself some advice. What would you tell yourself?
Okay, so I would say leave Miami. I really should have. You should have packed your shit up and you should have dipped and experienced other places. I'm doing it now, but kind of going back to the earlier conversation, I think it would have been more fun in my early 20s to be a little more carefree and just winging it than being as mindful of how I move
An adult.
now as a real adult. But yeah, I would have told myself like, yo, just go.
Just go with the flow.
It's gonna be okay. Just leave Miami.
Nice. I like that one. I share that one with you. But then 2 kids later, every kid I was like, we're gonna leave. Oh, kid, we're gonna leave in 5 years. Oh, another one. I guess we're not leaving. Sounds good.
I'm gonna challenge you to still think about it.
I'm still doing it every day.
I moved here to Miami when I was like 15, and I always questioned like why it happened. It was like one of the best things that ever happened to me, ever. So like, at first as a kid, you're like, I hate all of this. Why'd you even bring me here? This is in New York. Yo, the girls ain't even as fun. Like, you sitting there, you getting, don't get me started.
Yo, they're gonna come for him.
Yeah, they about to cook. Look, man,
These Latinas
Anyway.
out here, you don't even know.
If I had to tell myself something from 10 years ago, be patient. You're gonna make yourself proud. Like, I'm living in that now, right? If I got like big, like in the group chat, my photo is a kid with the do-rag. Like, I'm wearing a do-rag and whatnot. That's like my photo in the group chat. But that kid was 10 or 11 or something like that, and everything I'm doing now, he would have wanted to do. So it's just like, yeah, okay, fine. It's not at the scale. I didn't do a video with Hov yet, but it's gonna happen, right? Like, I'm working towards that. Like, the patience that it takes to get there. Like, this isn't overnight. Like, I'm doing 10, 15, 20 years to have my overnight moment, to where somebody looks back and goes, yo, that happened for him? Wow.
Yeah.
I just remember yesterday where it was it wasn't yesterday. It was 10 years ago, and I bust my ass for it.
Because people don't talk about that enough.
People don't talk about that. They don't talk about like the nights that I spend up editing or, practicing something or learning a new technique. Just be patient and like, just understand you're going to do what you said you will. I haven't not done anything I said I would. And that's more to be proud of than anything, at least for me. So like, I just tell them, be patient, give yourself some time, continue to grow. And enjoy where you're at, because I definitely was future focused, and I don't know if it benefited me to where I'm at now, but I was 100% future focused. I had friends who were like, "Oh, he thinks he's better than us," or like people who I graduated high school with, and they were like, "Yo, he doesn't want to hang out with us on the porch," and I'm like, "It's not about
on the porch.
It's not about hanging out with you on the porch, and like I'm not trying to diss you. I'm just really over here somewhere trying to figure it out, and I care for you. I appreciate you. You're important. I'm just tunnel vision right now, and I'm trying to get over here. So I can't dedicate the time that I would like to."
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
No, thank you.
With that being said, let's try to land the plane. Tell some people Growing Up Spanglish. What is it about? What do you guys do? Like, give them a little rundown.
Yes. So we are gearing up to start production on season 2 of Growing Up Spanglish. Growing Up Spanglish was released last year in April. We did our first season based in Miami. And basically is really just allowing first and second generation Hispanic, I call them kids because they're not kids anymore. They're telling their story from the perspective of when they were children, but just Hispanic guests and really just kind of sharing how they got here. You know, a lot of our guests had immigrant stories. They were born somewhere else. They had a whole journey here. Some people just had the experience of like being, you know, the second generation, not speaking Spanish, no sabo kids, speaking Spanglish. Like, it's really just about being able to share those stories. The inspiration came from having grown up in Miami, being Puerto Rican. You don't feel disconnected from your culture. Matter of fact, people come here and feel like, where the fuck am I? Because this is no longer part of Florida. It's no longer part of the U.S. And so I feel like that was a blessing to be able to grow up with a lot of other Caribbean people. And so I often thought, like, what does it feel like for someone to have immigrated from Uruguay? I don't know anybody from Uruguay. And then end up in, like, Kansas. Like, I don't know what that experience was. It good? Was it bad? Was it, you know, I want to know. And I think other people want to know as well. And so I just thought that it would be great to create a platform to share those stories. But not only that, in sharing those stories, we are learning about each other. We're feeling more connected. We're healing. And also we are archiving our stories. I share this story with KJ before. I'll share it with you and everyone tuned in. But I grew up Saturdays with my dad blasting Hector Lavoe, El Gran Combo, whoever, right? That was blasting. I woke up and I had 3 sisters. I was the youngest of 3. And we knew it was chores. Like, we didn't sleep in Saturdays. So it was chores. Everybody had their chore to do. And if you got the distinguished honor of doing chores with Papi, then you got an earful. But it was great. My dad's stories were great. I really enjoyed hearing the stories of how he grew up or how he ended up in New York and that craziness, how he ended up here. I really enjoyed them. And then as I got older, I was like, who's gonna share those stories with my nephews and my niece? Like, my dad is still here and he can share it, but when that time unfortunately comes, because it has to, like, who's gonna continue telling the cornier stories? Are they gonna remember it and then share it with their kids? And so I was like, man, there's a lot of stories that don't get shared, and people pass away. They don't grow up with grandparents, or their one parent left wherever they're from and they never went back, and they don't know anything about their history and their people. And so I wanted to create an archive for our people to share those stories. And so, yes, it's a podcast, but on a grander scale, I'm trying to create an archive for the Latinx diaspora.
I love it. Yeah, anything to add to that?
That was what her final point of just being of service to people was what made me say I'm down.
You joined the team.
Yeah. Like, I love the idea, I love the concept, but I also think it's a logic that could be applied at future state to other cultures, right? Like, she's not the most beautiful part of what she's doing is we're also very particular about not being divisive. So it's showing the similarities in that culture and this culture, and asking them questions that kind of, oh, you know what, that sounds similar to so-and-so. And it kind of helps us as the diaspora kind of see, oh, we should get together more often. We should hang out more often. We should create more community and kind of lean into it. So this work to me is of service of the people. And that's why I'm down. Like, I'm locked in with her because, once again, she's trying to do something that people either haven't done or it benefits the people as a whole.
I love it. Love it. Thank y'all for sharing that with the audience. But I normally don't do this. I mean, I do this, but I don't do it on camera. I just met them.
We'd have thought we known them for like
literally
10 years,
just
right?
met them. But in my experience in these 41 years, anyone that you connect with very quickly and you understand their energy and you could like relate to their story are people that were meant to be in your path and figure something out, right? So y'all came to Co.Lab Studios. You hit me up on the DM, I think, and then I replied back.
Text, yeah.
Text. We did that situation. How'd you get my number? No, we'll figure that out later. I would love to be on Growing Up Spanglish. There's so much I can tell you about. It is a long story.
We love that.
We're here for
But
Totally.
y'all came here with the expectation that y'all wanted to have a studio to do your show, right? And you like the environment?
Totally.
Yeah.
So far, you feel good?
Nah, energy's great.
You good?
We up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let y'all know on the lab. Growing Up Spanglish will be sponsored by Co.Lab Studios. We'll work out the details later. But there's the account. Go follow them.
Yes.
It'll be in the DM. I'm very similar to you, so I don't know if you knew where you were walking into, but if you're going to come in here with that level of passion and energy and you know what you want, my next words is just pull up.
Whew.
Thank you.
All right? Just pull up.
You gotta give me 5 on
Yeah.
camera.
You gotta pull up. We gotta get it on camera right there, right? Make it happen.
Yeah.
And with that
Thank
being
you.
said, that's the end of the lab. I'll see you on the next one, or you'll see me on Growing Up Spanglish, whatever.
Thank y'all.